Yeah, today we have with us Danielle Bean. Danielle is a Catholic writer and speaker, and you can visit her website, daniellebean.com. And she wrote an article that I thought was very interesting in the Catholic Digest called The Gift of Imperfect Parents. Welcome, Danielle. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh, well, it was a wonderful article because I think you bring up so many good points in here. And I want to start right off with how you open this article with your little guy when he was 2 years old. And you were watching a thunder and lightning storm. And when it lightninged and thundered, he looked at you and with big eyes and said, "Papa." Can you explain that to our audience?
Yes, it's so sweet. So our kids, when they were small, they called my husband their dad Papa. And so when we were in that moment just watching the storm outside, my little son turning to me and saying Papa like that meant he thought his dad must be responsible for this powerful storm that we were watching. And it's so sweet and so innocent and so loving. And he just had this, deep admiration for his dad. And I, in that moment and since then, have reflected on the fact that means we have such a powerful position in our children's lives to influence them for good or for bad, and that we're their first experience, truly their first experience of God. And what a daunting responsibility that can feel like.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? And we talk about, God kind of being the perfect parent, right? Knowing what to do in every situation and doing it well. And that's why I think your article, The Gift of Imperfect Parents, was really caught my eye, because you say we're never enough, right? And so I want you to kind of explain to our audience why imperfect parents are really a gift.
Yeah, it can be hard to see because, like I said, this feels like a daunting responsibility, and we so desperately want to get it exactly right. We want to be perfect parents. But my kids, my son, who was 2 years old in that story at the beginning of that article, is now 29 years old and has 3 little children himself. And so being at this different stage of life now, I can look at it and look back. And as we're launching kids, it's very natural to think, did we do it all right? Did we do it correctly? Did we forget to teach them something? And there's that kind of anxiety about parenting that it happens all the time. It's a very natural thing. So if people are struggling with that, that's very normal. But what I've come to see is that the ways in which we didn't get it right, because nobody is perfect, we are not God, truly end up being a gift to our children, because all the ways that we fall short, all of the ways that we might disappoint or discourage our children or the other people that we love in our lives are things that can point us toward God, can help them to see that they need God and their parents are not God. That when they're little, it feels like their parents are, and that they're their whole world, and that's as God intends it. We are their first experience of love, first experience of God's mercy and his justice. But then as they grow older and they begin to realize, hey, sometimes Mom and Dad don't quite get it right. And it's painful. And of course, we're always striving to do better. But in the end, it really is a gift. It's a gift to them, and it's a gift to us to embrace that humility and realize none of us is perfect. None of us is God, not even our parents or not even our children that we love so much. And that we all have that need for God as our perfect parent.
So, Danielle, how can you help? Because usually I think when parents mess up or, as you say, fall short or even fail their kids in some way, what's a good way for parents to handle that so that their kids really kind of understand this imperfection, but yet don't kind of diss their authority? How do you handle that?
Right. Yeah, that can be tricky, and it's, of course, going to be different in each relationship. Different parents and different kids have different temperaments, and there are different nuances to their relationships. But I would say just being aware of having a sense of humility with your kids can go a long way. When you apologize to your children, you're not telling them that you no longer have authority over them. You're telling them that you have that authority and that you didn't use it exactly right in that moment, and that you're going to do your best to get it better the next time. So I think, being clear about that, of course, it's going to change according to their age. I'm finding now that I have young adult children and kids who are in college and that sort of thing, that the kinds of conversations we have when we both are kind of looking back on their childhood, they sometimes are brutally honest about some of the ways that we fell short. That can be painful. That can be difficult. But at the same time, I think what a learning moment this is, where I can step into these conversations with humility and love and communicate to them that I was doing my very best and we were doing our best, and, apologize for things that maybe you need to apologize for. But as painful as that process is, I think it's a beautiful way that we can grow in love for one another, grow in honesty about who we are and the fact that we are all God's children. He is our perfect Father, and none of us here on earth is perfect, but we're working toward that.
So, Danielle, obviously, by the way you lay out this article, and, you move us to understand that only God is the perfect parent. So how did you kind of instill this understanding of God in your children? Because this is something a lot of parents struggle with today.
Sure. I think making it an everyday part of your conversations. Don't save conversations about God or your faith for just Sundays, right? Or even just during prayer time. Don't compartmentalize your life. I always, when my children were younger, would look for opportunities. If you are enjoying something beautiful in nature, talk about how God made it. Or if they're feeling sad or sorry for someone, or you receive sad news, then, train them with your example and then help them to do the same, turning to God in prayer in those moments when you need Him, or the times when they mess up or you mess up. Have them turn toward God, asking for forgiveness, teaching them the value of the sacraments, receiving forgiveness in confession. And, I was blessed by a beautiful, faith-filled childhood. I'm so grateful to my parents for the amazing job they did raising me and my 8 siblings. And I can look back now and say that the biggest gift they gave me was that everydayness of faith, just not compartmentalizing it, making sure it is part of your core identity, just an organic part, a no-brainer, who we are. We are Catholic, and we are God's precious children. Having them understand that identity, it doesn't happen in one conversation. It's an ongoing thing, and it comes about in the way that you live your life as a family.
Yeah. So, Danielle, one piece of advice that you would give to parents to accept this idea that they're never enough, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with maybe when you do feel guilty and you mess up with your kids?
Yeah, I would say be rooted in prayer. Be rooted in prayer because, like we said, God is the perfect parent. He's your perfect parent, too. He's not going to fail to guide you, give you the grace that you need to, seek out forgiveness when you need to do that, but then the grace to be strong the next time and to be following His example as a perfect, loving parent and just working toward that throughout your life. So if you are rooted in prayer, rooted in relationship with God, that ultimately is an amazing gift to your children. And some of the specifics of ways that you might mess up or fall short, those are going to pale in comparison to that mighty example of leaning on God in all things, trusting in His goodness, and turning to Him in your every need.
I love that. And you say when they're small, it goes by so fast. So don't miss the ability to love and find joy in those children every day, right?
Absolutely. It's a cliche to say it, but it's because it's so very true.
Well, thank you so much, Danielle, for being with us today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
And I was talking to Danielle Bean. She is a Catholic writer and speaker, and her website is daniellebean.com. And she is wrote an article, The Gift of Imperfect Parents, in the Catholic Digest. So look that up. It's a good read, especially going into Father's Day next weekend.
Yeah, I enjoy all your chats, Pat, but especially the ones that make me feel better. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, if you want to shoot me some ideas, Dave, things that you'd like to feel better about, I'll see what I can do.